Would you watch a grounded Mr. Freeze movie? I would. I think that would be great. I don't know how you do it grounded, but that sounds fantastic. And that's also something which Matt Reeves would be open to doing. Said that there's potential that Mr. Freeze could be in sequels to The Batman. Now, we're going to get on to the interview where he said this, but just hold your horses, because I want to throw something else out here. OGs of the channel will know what I'm about to say. Body horror, Clayface film. Please do it, DC. Please do it, Warner Brothers. Please do it, Matt Reeves. That's how you incorporate a very outlandish, fantastical villain in this new Matt Reeves Batman universe. A realistic, gritty horror, body horror, Clayface film. I don't know whether you can make it entirely realistic. I don't care. That's how you do it. Just do it, please. Please, God, do it. Anyway, let's dive into it today, ladies and gents. Please do follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Misstage Reviews. Links in the description box. And hit subscribe if you enjoy this video. It does go a long way to helping the channel out. And check you're subscribed, because YouTube keeps unsubbing people. So, unfortunately, we do have to report on something which Collider has the exclusive on. Yeah, never mind. So, The Batman. Matt Reeves is interested in including a grounded Mr. Freeze in potential sequels. Interesting. I think there's actually a grounded version of that story, which could be really powerful and could be really great. Now, Mr. Freeze is an interesting character. There's a lot of places you can go with that character. It's not necessarily look, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze, yeah, definitely some laughing, maniacal villain. But you bring in his wife and the sort of situation around that, and it can become this sort of tragic love story. Scientist, loves it could be really, really good. There's a lot you could do with it, which could be fantastic, especially for story arcs. Character arc, and an almost sympathetic villain, but not every villain needs to be sympathetic, but there are elements to Mr. Freeze which are sympathetic, and also add that really, really powerful tool, the strength of conviction. Any villain that really, truly, firmly believes what they're doing is correct and won't budge on it, that's terrifying. Because you can't reason with them. You can't say what you're doing is evil, right? You just can't. When a villain has true strength of conviction, that's when the shit's about to hit the fan. Everything's up for grabs at that point. I think they're good. So anyway, here we have it, right? The Batman story has seen a myriad of adaptations for the screen, each one boasting its own tone and style. Some are gritty and dark, like the Nolan trilogy, whereas the classic Adam West iteration is best known for its gaudy, colourful campiness. Clooney and arguably Michael Keaton fell somewhere comfortably between the two, and unlike Peacemaker, Batman has a broader coterie of supervillains to face, from the Joker and Bane through to lesser-known foes like Clayface, do Clayface, and Man-Bat would be cool as well, actually. The latter are on the campier, more fantastical side of things. There is honestly nothing which needs to be campy about Clayface. Just do Clayface. Please do it. I want to see it. So anyway, director Matt Reeves recently spoke at a press event that Collider was a part of, and explained how he was drawn towards a more grounded interpretation of the comics, but that isn't to say the more fantastical villains couldn't get involved. With one particularly cold character, seemingly a favourite of his, he said the following. And this stuff's fantastic, right? To get inside his head. And the reason why this stuff is fantastic, we'll get to the statement in a minute, is because he's already the producer on 2 projects for HBO Max. We've got the Gotham PD and we've got Penguin. These are 2 big series, and all of a sudden people are now starting to talk about sequels. It's pretty much guaranteed that they were going to make sequels if this movie makes money. Right? That's just part of the course. Why do I say that? Well, because they've already invested massive amounts of money in these series. Colin Farrell in a Penguin series, it's not going to be cheap. It's not. So he said the following. In my view, I just feel drawn to finding the grounded version of everything. So to me, it would be a challenge in an interesting way to try and figure out how that could happen. Even the idea of something like Mr. Freeze, that's such a great story, right? I think there's actually a grounded version of that story, which could be really powerful and could be really great. So I love the fantastical side of Batman, but this iteration, obviously, while being, to me, I think it is very comics faithful, but I don't think that this one is necessarily, it doesn't lean as hard into the fantastical, I guess. But I think to me what would be interesting would be to try and unwind the fantastical and see, well, how could that make sense here? And so that's kind of my view, how I see it. Now, there's a few things to actually take from this, right? Like, the article starts talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger's campiness, etc., right? And then, of course, about the police procedural, Gotham PD, and then Colin Farrell's Penguin. Now, I think the other element of this, right, to look at this, is also to take a look at what they've already done, or what they are planning to do. We've already heard that there's going to be a tease for the Joker in this film, right? We've already seen that there's the Joker gangs in this film. We've seen it, it's in the trailer. But he says specifically, I think to me, what would be interesting is to try to unwind the fantastical. Now, the Joker's actually, when you think about it, quite a fantastical villain. He is. He's running around smirking at everyone, smiling away, being this sort of figurehead, laughing maniacally as he does it. How do you unwind that? Which is looking like they're going to. And then also the Riddler. Now, if you look at the Riddler, because this is his interpretation, this is what he's basically saying that they've already done, and what he wants to do moving forwards is to unwind all of this stuff. How do you wind back the fantastical elements and come to something which is more grounded? And the way they did that with the Riddler was to make him draw inspiration from the Zodiac Killer, and then have that paired up with the villainous side of the Riddler, which which he's known for. He is of course known for spandex wearing, sort of mustachioed man, cane twirling nonsense, and it works in the comics. But what they've managed to create for the film looks great. And if they could do something similar with Mr. Freeze, and also we don't know what's going to happen with the Joker in this film either. We just don't know how that's going to look yet. There is apparently a tease for the Joker. So I love all of this. I think this sounds great. Now, Mr. Freeze, non-fantastical, grounded, I think you could do that, and I think he is right. It could be absolutely something fantastic and really interesting, and something quite sad, because that's the thing about Mr. Freeze. He does have conviction, but it's also a love story. He's motivated by love. So there you go, ladies and gents. What do you think? Would you watch a Mr. Freeze Batman universe film? Or a Batman versus Mr. Freeze, this new one? I would, personally. I think it sounds great. Let me know what you think down below, though. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.